All right, so let's talk a little bit about um, maybe like spawning actors, exposing variables, and things like that. So for example, when we select any one of our variables here, so for instance, pickup, you'll notice there's a host of options here. One of them is private. If I check this on, it makes this variable only to be accessed within this blueprint. But if I leave it unchecked, it makes it public. So for instance, let me undrag this off for a second and just save this. And this is our, essentially our can I just go here? We have a pickup variable here, and this BP is called BP fun, and it is in our scene. So if I go into the level blueprint, and I know we haven't gotten too much into this, so this might be confusing. A level blueprint is different than an individual blueprint because with this, we're visually scripting or controlling just this object. With a level blueprint, we're controlling everything in our level. So if I hit open level blueprint, you can see here it's untitled, and I can actually just inside of here grab a reference to this BP fun and drop it in here. Now it says add child of component, and what is the actor? It says in here class BP fun. Now if I dock this, here, let me dock both of these in there, and I go to BP fun, we have a pickup variable, right? I'm just sort of clarifying this. And if I want to access the variable in here and change its value, I can actually go inside of here and I can just, let's say as we begin play in our level, and I'm going to make this a little bit easier to understand. Let me delete all of this extra content, and I'll just have it where it's returning the value of pickup. So I print this to my screen. You can see print it's 50 here. And inside of here, I can actually just, let's see, drag this out. Well, actually, let's just do, I'm going to type pickup. So I think I need to get the component. And actually, what I want to do is, let's do it this way instead. If I right click and I type reference, at the top, it's going to give me a reference to all the blueprints in my scene. So you can see it's create a reference to BP fun. And what I do is if I can drag this out and I type pickup, you can see I can actually get the pickup variable there. So I'm actually grabbing that. Now I could also do something like this, where I drag this off and I type set pickup, and I can wire this in. And remember the value before was 50. Now if I make this 100 or 1000, whatever, and I compile and save this, oh, that's right, I have to save this out. Let's save it as level, or BP underscore level. When I save that, and let's go back into here, and I press play, you'll see 50, and I'd like to overwrite it. So I never reapply it. I don't necessarily get it and then set it. So let's try that. So let's go ahead and print. So print string. And then the value I want to print out is this one. So let's compile and save that, and then let's press play. And now you can see 1000 because it's getting my level blueprint first. And then it got 50, which was the local blueprint that's inside the scene. So you can see here, I'm actually getting that variable from another blueprint, right? For my blueprint level. And the reason for that is because it's public. So if I select this pickup here and I make it private, saying I don't want any other blueprint to override this, I press play, we get, well, it looks like it's still working through the level. Let's see if I can adjust that. Actually, let's see if I delete this and I drag this out. Let's see. See how I can no longer get pickup? Because inside of here, we made the variable private, right? So as I go in there and I try to access it, just because it happened to be there before, it let me override it. But if I go in here and I untick this, pickup, and I compile and save that, now when I go into my level, I start taking pickup. I can now get and set pickup because now it's public variable. Just wanted to make you aware of that. All right, let's go back to BP phone for a second. Now let's say we want our pickup to be accessed or editable in the scene. That means inside of our environment now. So if I select BP fun here and I hit F to focus, and I look around, you look inside of here, this is sort of the panel for it. I'm not able to access any of my variables, right? But even though they're public, well, there's a separate option. It's this instance editable. If we turn that on and we compile and save this, I jump back in my level here. You could see under default, pickup now has a value of 50. And we can adjust that. If I make this 2000 and I press play, you'll see 2000 there because the editor, the scene in the editor overrides or, any sort of the variables that you have in your game, or sorry, rather inside of your blueprint. Also, something else that might be cool is we have like a pickup variable, player stats, whatever. So let's say that we have some variables that are just for the inventory system. If I hit that, press enter, you could see pickup is under inventory. And if I save this and I go back into my level, instead of it saying default here, we have a section called inventory. So you could do this for other ones too, right? I can actually select my health and like here, player position, right? I don't know if I want that under inventory too. I can drag and drop that. I can has health. I'll type this as health. Hit enter, and you can see it's under a health variable here. Compile and save that. Now you could see we have inventory, and I think I gotta let's save that. We have health. We have inventory for the different parts. But also, I forgot that has health. I didn't make that instance editable. So now when I go into my level, you can see we have health, we have inventory here. So just different ways of organizing or categorizing your blueprints. All right, something else that's cool in here is this expose on spawn. So I check this on and I grab these other ones. What'll happen is as we spawn this object, we can essentially expose these variables in the scene. So let's save these and then let's go back into our level here and let's just delete BP fun. Well, let's go ahead and delete it anyway. So I'm going to go back into my level here. I'm going to delete this and now you can see it's unknown. And the reason for that is because we removed it from its scene. It doesn't know, the level blueprint by just referencing it right away. It's referencing what's already there. Well, what if we want to bring something in or spawn our scene? So I'm going to right click. I'm going to put spawn, and it's a spawn actor from class. You can see class here. So if we select class here and we type BP underscore, you can see these are all of our BP ones. And we have one here called BP underscore fun. You can see here we have pickup, which is exposed on spawn. We have has health. These are just the ones that we checked on. And we have the spawn transform. All right, so when our event begins to play, I'm going to wire this in here. Now there's a couple things it needs here. One, we have our class. Second, it needs a position in which it's going to spawn. And for that, we've got to create a variable. So you can see that it's orange here. And if I highlight over it, it says spawn transform is of type transform. So instead of Boolean here, I'm going to select transform. And I'm going to put, instead of new variable here, I'm going to call it, I don't know, spawn POS for spawn position. I'm going to compile and save that. And then I'm going to drag this in, and then I'm going to get that and then wire that in, and that should get rid of this error. And the position it's going to spawn in is going to be 000 because that's what it's defaulted at. So compile and save. And if we go to BP level here and I press play, you can see that it spawns BP fun, but you can see we know it's a spawnable object because it's yellow, and it's currently spawned in at 000. And if I hit F8 on my keyboard, it'll disconnect. And I can hit spawn fun, and you can see there it is. It was spawned at 000. All right, I think that's good for now. We learned how to spawn. We learned a little bit about exposing variables and exposing them to spawn. What I think I'll do before we jump into another really amazing kind of level design video where we talk about level design theory and we start working on building on a level is I think I'm going to cover something called a data structure, a specific data structure called arrays. And we'll go through that in the next chunk of videos, and then we'll jump back into level design. Then I promise you we'll tie all this blueprints knowledge with level design, and we'll continue to build out some really cool levels.